I went over to the thrift store and I picked up some cool items here, and I'll show you those right now. In the spirit of, first of all, Halloween.
I found a stack of records in my attic today, an Elvis picture disc and Kenny's big old hay. Put 'em up on eBay for the day was done. Watch the bids roll in till the morning sun.
Welcome everyone to the video. Welcome to the channel. Today's going to be the Thursday What Sold video. So please like the video, hit the thumbs up, subscribe, comment down below. Let's get that out of the way right off the bat. It's kind of hot today. And I've had a long day today. See, my hat's all crooked. What side is it on, though? It doesn't feel right on my head when it's like that. It looks crooked. Oh, well, whatever. I think it's just because typically, like, I've talked about this before, back in high school when I would, the sun would come in from one side of actually from this side over here, at first base, on the baseball diamond, playing baseball, it would come in from this side in the practice field, and so I was always having to like lean my hat down, kind of tilt it a little bit. I'll tell you what, I've been pegged by the ball many times coming in my direction because of the sun in practice. Because the sun would, when we'd practice, it would come directly from that angle, and they would, man. So many times I would just lose the ball in the sun, and then I'd catch it again. I would kind of have to predict where it was going to end up, but that's why I typically would lean my hat this way. But either way, let's get. I've had a long day today. Long day. Let's get the pour, and it's warm, so I got a little bit of ice in my cup already. A little bit of a pour there. Some of the ice already melted. And by warm, it's 90 degrees today, so we're dying over here where we're at. I know it's not that bad compared to where what other people are experiencing, but where we live, 90 degrees is way too hot. 80 degrees is getting up there already for us. Anything in the 80s is already blazing hot. But So today was orientation day for high school for my daughters. We had to take care of that today. I was there way too long, 3.5 hours. I'm like, oh, they actually sent an email out, which after the fact, it didn't really matter about how long it was taking for pictures. I was like, that email came out after the fact. Like, what are they going to do now? It's too late. We've already gone through the whole, for next year? Next year doesn't even matter to me right now. About the length, about how long it was taking, but man, either way, not much reseller news, but I was reading a book while I was waiting, finishing up a book, and it was a quote you have right here on my phone. I'll read that, and let me know what you think in the comments down below regarding that. I went over to I had to get my packages over to the post office. We got to do that every single day. And then I went over to Los Gatos today. And I wasn't planning on doing any thrifting in Los Gatos, but we just so happened, we're like, all right, well, let's pop in. We were right there in the area of a thrift store. And let's go ahead and walk over there. And I was looking for, there's also a comic shop over there. And I was looking for my second cousin, my dad's cousin, my second cousin, I believe. His comic that he illustrates came out. It's called Feral. It's like a horror cat comic. So pretty cool. So I went over there to go see if they had it. I didn't think they would, but I went over there. They're more like into necessarily the collectible space, not really into like the new, latest and greatest stuff, but they're more into the collectible side of things over there in that area. And they didn't, but we got to talking, and he knew my second cousin. So we just got to talk for a little bit. And then, but I went over to the thrift store and I picked up some cool items here, and I'll show you those right now. In the spirit of, first of all, Halloween. Yeah, I got these, and I've sold these before. They're all cups. I didn't find any. There were pictures that go with this, or with these, I should say. They were 30 cents each, not $30, 30 cents each. And I had sold the pitcher and cup set. I don't know if it was last Halloween or the Halloween before that, but either way, I have sold this before, and I think it went for somewhere around $50-ish, if I remember correctly. But either way, each of these cups are probably about $5. It's about $5 a cup. And so, but I got a bunch of them. I got a bunch of there was a bunch of the skeleton ones. I think there was 8 skeleton ones. And then, what do we have? 2, 4, 5, 6 Frankenstein and 2 pumpkin ones. And I've seen sets like this one, and the... Let me try to get the pumpkin one out without dropping everything in here to my side. Okay. Here's the pumpkin. Like I said, 3 of these, around $30 or so. So pretty cool. I mean, obviously, because Halloween is coming up. They are Blomo, they are vintage, so they check all the boxes there. Does there have a year on here? Hand wash. Not suitable for dishwasher, but it doesn't say or anything. There's no year on it. Yeah, no year on those, but they are older. And so, yeah, that should be pretty good. At 30, I spent, I think it was like $8 and some change total for the whole total of what I bought. So that's pretty good. Got a whole bag full of those. So I'm gonna get those listed right away because Halloween is coming up. It's gonna be here before you know it. Oh, I picked this up too. Picked up some blank media. That was $2 for this little pack right here, and it should sell for right around $15. These are DVD DL stands for dual layers, so definitely a little bit of, not crazy premium on it, but a little bit of premium. That's why I picked up the 15 pack. You'll hear me typically say, you know, if you're going to pick up these blank media packs, you got to get them for around in the 50 or 100. Don't really want to go below that, but I made a special exemption for this one, and it was only $2. So, you know, we're going to make some good money. And then we're going to make some good money on those cups too as well. So we're doing pretty good. That's an old fry. You hear me talking about fries all the time. I spent so much time at Fry's, you know, and that's a Fry's, that is a Fry's, a price tag on there. I spent so much time at Fry's, and we would go over there with all my friends, you know, go check out their latest deals. We were all into computers, electronics, everything, and they had it all there, and it was huge. It was just a West Coast thing, so, you know, if you're, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I believe Fry's Electronics started out as a grocery store in Arizona, and then you know, kind of blew up from there. But they had a few scandals and stuff, and you know, they just couldn't. Fortunately, they're gone now. But they actually just opened a micro center in our area, which I haven't been to. And they used to have a micro center in Santa Clara, over by the theater. If you're familiar with the area, Mercado, that's where they used to have a micro center. Oh, we were at Mercado all the time for all the new movie releases and everything there. It was great, you know, huge theater, far, well, from where I'm at, but far. It's over by Great America, if you're familiar, and then Mission College out there, and a lot of big businesses out there. But we would spend a lot of time in Mercado because we would always, you know, be interested in the latest and greatest movies. And they had a Mexican place over there. Speaking of Mexican place, I'll get to that right now. But I don't like sour cream. I can't stand sour cream. I don't like it. I always say no sour cream on everything. But at this Mexican place, I think it was called the Mexicali Grill. It was really, really good, but I would always say no sour cream. They would always put sour cream on my thing. And I'm like, couldn't stand sour cream, but they would always slap it on there. And I'm like, oh, man, I got it. I mean, it's not like I'm not going to eat it, but I just don't like sour cream. But either way, I was watching on Instagram. I came across a reel, and it was funny. I mean, if you are a Mexican, then you probably can relate to this, but it was about being traumatized by caldo in the summer. And caldo technically is just soup, but when you know, at least when I was told caldo, and many of my friends, it was usually a beef short rib soup, and just packed full of vegetables. There's usually a corn in there, usually potatoes, and then all kinds of different other vegetables, cabbage and stuff, and it's just packed into a big old soup. But our parents would always have it in the summer. Like, they would eat it in the summertime, and when it's blazing, like right now, when it's blazing hot. Again, it's only 90 degrees, but it's blazing hot in our opinion around here. They would, have a bowl of caldo. And I'm like, what the heck? And then they would be like, all right, everybody, that's dinner. That's dinner for the night. I'm like, oh God, it's 10,000 degrees in here. How am I supposed to eat soup right now? But I saw a video, somebody posted that, and it said, like, caldo, traumatized by caldo in the summer, or yeah, going over. It was funny. It was pretty hilarious because, yeah, I can relate. And the one thing about the caldo, because I made, so they usually use beef short ribs in it. At least I've always had it with beef short ribs. You can have it with any type of meat, really, but we always have beef short ribs. And one of the things with beef short ribs, like any ribs, you got to cook them for a little bit. It's a lot of fat and connective tissue and all that. So you really got to cook them for a bit to get them nice and tender. And sometimes they would rush that cook. It wouldn't be tender at all, And the only reason why one of the reasons why I met it was kind of funny too, because when I saw that yesterday, I was actually making short ribs, and I was like, oh, but we have nowadays by all of us, we have what do you call it? An Instapot. So I did short ribs in 50 minutes. They just fell off the bone. They were delicious. Very, very fatty, very, so it's very oily, very rich, very good though, very delicious. You just can't have too much of it, because like I said, it's very fatty, and proteins and fat are very, very high in calories. So, you really can't eat too much of it. And I just had it with some rice. I was thinking of making beans, but I was like, I'll just make some Spanish rice. I like Spanish rice, obviously, because I'm Mexican. Part Mexican, part Native American. But that's what we grew up. We grew up eating, Spanish rice, frijoles, arroz, and then of course caldo. I mean, it's good. Don't get me wrong. It's very good, especially during the winter. It's delicious. It's just, in the heat and it's great. And then, what's also really good, and sometimes I can't resist it, is there's a Mexican restaurant near us, and they have what's it called? It's not menudo. It is I can't remember. I can't even think of it right now. Doggone it. It completely just left my mind right now. But I know I'll find it right now. Watch right here. It's made with pork and hominy. Pozole. They make a killer pozole. And with just tender little bites of pork, and then packed full of hominy. And the broth, it's got chili in it, because it's Mexican, of course. It's a Mexican dish. And so it's got chili in it, and you put more chili in it, and then you pack it full of cabbage, radish, and onions. You pack it in fresh, so you get the soup. You get the soup with the broth, the hominy, and then the whatever protein, typically pork. And then you get the bowl, and then you just pack it full of fresh cabbage, fresh radish, fresh onions. Squeeze some lime in there, more powdered chili on top of it, and it's in the summer and it's hot. The soup is hot. The chili's hot. You're sweating. You're dying, but it's so delicious you can't even stop eating. So sometimes I'll have that, but typically not on days like today. What else was I gonna say? I went off on that tangent there, and kind of lost my train of thought. Oh, back to I found one other thing over there. It was $1.50. This is a IBM. So it's an older, it's a vintage. It says IBM. It's actually USB, so that's pretty cool. Ergonomic. I believe it's to double check, but I think it's a Scroll Point Pro is what it is. Ergo. And there are a couple listed on eBay. No, actually, one listed on eBay, one sold. One used sold for $30, $29.99. And there's one listed for, I think, $130. But it's listed as open box. So I'm probably going to come in about $50 with this mouse. It does work and has a little unusual scroller there. It's not a wheel. It's just a little, you just push it up or down, and your mouse or your page scrolls in whichever direction. But really cool, just a really cool vintage mouse. It was $1.50, so but pretty good finds for just a quick little trip at the thrift store up there. So that was pretty cool, and yeah, I think that's it with that. But either way, so I was finishing up a book over while I was waiting this morning. And it's a book on modern thought and histories on it and how we got to where we're at, philosophy, all that good stuff. Stuff I love to read and study and all that. I'm into all kinds of different topics, but but either way, a really good quote here from this book. And I've talked about this before. Again, this isn't really related to reselling. It's more just, a way to look at life and how to be more, I mean, it's kind of take, from the quote, be more content with what you have and satisfied with what you have and, living life in the moment. But, let me actually go before this quote here. What did I? It says, humans are finite beings, mortal creatures occupying a limited patch of space and time. Unlike other animals, we're aware of these limits. And a dog or a lion, for instance, has no advanced knowledge of their death. They're only concerned with the present moment. But humans live knowing that they and their loved ones will eventually die. The shadow of death forces us to contemplate what to do with our fleeting time on earth. It also instills us with deep terror. Whether you now, this is me. Whether you believe it or not, whether you say, I don't fear death, what do you call it? I do all the, like people that do like extreme stuff, like, oh, I don't fear death. I'm gonna go jump off, bungee jump, or I'm gonna go skydive or anything like that. It's more, the fear of death is more like in that subconsciousness of that we have. While you may say, I don't fear this, I don't fear that. Subconsciously, you probably do. You more than likely do. It also instills a deep terror, fear of losing loved ones, fear of the unknown, fear of nothingness, and the angst prevents us from living a wholly contented. Am I saying that right? I think I said it right in my head. When it comes out in my actual, I'm speaking it, I don't know if I'm saying it, but contented a life full of love and satisfaction. And from the start, philosophy and religion have tried to help us conquer this fear, but they go about it in an entirely different way. It goes on and on and on, to compare the two and all that stuff. But either way, like living with that fear of the end, whether you know you are or not, it's built into our subconscious. It's there all the time, just that knowing. That's why we all develop bucket lists. That's why we all did, develop. That's why we're always, that phrase, that cliche, keeping up with the Joneses. constantly trying to, oh yeah, we got a house, and we got to upgrade our house. We got to, change this, got to get a new kitchen, got to do that, got a new car. There are some things that are necessities, and some things that you just do just because you don't feel fulfilled. And it's more so not that you necessarily need it, but you have this fear, this underlying fear of the end. And like I said, animals don't live that way, but we do, because we see our consciousness. We have consciousness, and so it's constantly trying to, like, that feeling like we're running out of time, we're losing time, and trying to overcome that is. It talks about, everything about overcoming that and all that. The actual title of the book, if you want to look it up, is A Brief History of Thought. That's what the title is. By Luke, Luck Ferry. So, really good book. Really good. But just conquering that fear of death and everything. And it's something that I try to, teach my kids, and, because I don't want them having worried about, my end or my wife's end. I think I've mentioned this before, I'm not sure, but, death is as much a part of life as living is. And then whatever you believe after that, whatever happens after that, whether it goes on. And I've talked about this before too. I definitely believe in the soul, the consciousness, that it moves on. Maybe not necessarily in the same manner as which most Christians do, but pretty similar. And it's just something that that has brought me. When I was reading it, I was like, dang, that I've lost that fear a long time ago. Consciously, subconsciously, I was able to find balance with my life, and no longer living like constantly trying to, I got to get this done, I got to do this, I'm running out of time, I want to do this before this age, I want to do this now. It's all gone from me now. And that contentness that I have, and that many people that I've interacted with at work places are always like, man, why are you always so calm and content and 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 sometimes I have tried to explain it, but it just doesn't. I think people just get too caught up with life, and it just kind of just doesn't compute. And that's fine. That's perfectly normal, and that's gonna everyone needs to find their own path. You got to find it on your own. You could definitely be listen to people and listen to teachers, read books, whatever. Listen to people that have it together, may or may not have it together, who knows, but constantly learning. But ultimately, you're the one that has to conquer it on your own and find a way to conquer it, because everybody's different. Not everybody's going to find. I talk about this in reselling, and not everybody's going to be able to resell the same way I do, or nobody's going to like the same things I resell, or this the way I like to resell the items I like to find. Some people don't like to go to Goodwill, some people don't like to do this, so everybody's different. You just got to find your own path, and by finding your own path, and maybe taking bits and pieces that been trying out other things that people do, and piecing things together for yourself and finding your own way. You'll find the right way if you're constantly searching and learning and practicing. And sometimes that means falling down. Sometimes that means making mistakes as well too. So you can't. Actually, I was just talking to my son about what happened. Something happened. I mean, it wasn't major or anything like that. It wasn't anything significant at all. But what was it exactly? I can't remember. It's like it wasn't super significant. But I told him, sometimes sometimes negative things that happen are necessary, and sometimes those negative things that happen, perhaps maybe that was going to lead to something more negative if it had gone through. If you had gone through and done that or whatever, or if you had gone out that night, or if you had done this that night, that day, then You know, something else worse could have, something more negative could have happened. Like it was just a small negative that occurred that prevented maybe a larger negative. So, you know, just the way, you know, think about it. And uh, just understanding that, you know, there are reasons for things, that sometimes things happen, and sometimes you don't want to force the issue with anything. Either way, if that makes any sense. If that makes any sense. If I made any sense in that. I mentioned this also before, that, you know, I'm not, and my kids tell me this, my family tell me this, I'm not a very good, like, you know, I teach more through action, through doing, which is why I do more of the thrifting videos than the talking videos, because I'm not really, I'm good when I formulate my thoughts like on paper, because then I can go back and be like, oh, you know what, maybe I should have said this, and then rewrite this, and, you know, do this and this and this and this. But, you know, as I'm coming up with it on the moment, in the moment, you know, not as good as some other people. I like to show more through action, which is why I show the thrifting videos, because those are me in action, me out in the wild. Okay, we're going off on too much of a tangent here, and I don't want to get too philosophical here. All right, whew. Where are we at? Let's look at the what sold. I have several what sold. I got 6 actually today. I wanted to show and share. Kindle Paperwhite. These are the e-readers. Really cool. I have several of them myself. I do really like them. I have the large ones, the smaller ones. I do, you know, one I can always carry around with me. I carry the larger one, and I don't carry the larger one with me, but I like the larger one because it's also a notepad, and the smaller one is just easy and portable to carry with me, and just quickly just whip it out and like, oh, let's read a book really quick. But they sell really well. They sell better than the other, you know, the other Kindle Fires, just the regular color tablet ones. And this one here sold for, and I'll tell you why I'm showing you this, because I think it's kind of obvious to be picking these up. $39.97. $7.10 what they pay in shipping. Padded poly bags is what it went into. The problem with these, and why you can't pay too much for them, I got this one at the bins. You want to pay $1, maybe $2. I wouldn't even want to spend $3 on it. $1 or $2 would be the max I want to pay with it, because majority of the time when you find them, they're going to have a battery logo on it with a slash through it, and that means obviously the battery's dead. Now, it's about 50-50 that they will actually come back to life when you plug them in. I've had many that have not come back to life, and I sell them for parts, you know, usually for, depending upon the model number, under $10, maybe $5 or so, which is why you don't want to spend too much on them, because if you have to just sell them for parts, at least you're going to hopefully make some of your money back, most of your money back, or some of it. 50-50 on whether or not I'll come back to life. This one had the battery symbol on it. Ooh, I see. Being a battery, I just noticed my camera battery. Hold on 1 second. Let me pause this really quick. And we're back. Okay, we're good. So this one had that battery signal on it. Let me scoot up a little bit really quick, just because I noticed my camera kind of cutting out. Trying to figure out exactly how to. I'm probably gonna do something with my setup here, and to try to hopefully. The AI does an okay job removing, you know, the background and stuff, but sometimes it doesn't. See, you can kind of see the background. Sometimes it cuts off my ear, and I'll get a little better. We'll see how things go. But this one here had the little battery symbol, and I believe even in the video, which I don't think is out yet. I think that might be out this Friday or the week after, or Monday after. This one had the symbol on it, and I think in the video I said, we will see. We'll take a gamble on it and see if it works. And sure enough, it worked. Then the other problem is if it's locked, if it has a lock screen on it. There are ways to get around it. You have to Google it, and there are different codes and stuff you can try to get them unlocked. Majority of the time, they work. They'll what they do is it'll reset it. It won't let you actually access it, but it'll you know, as is, it'll do a complete factory reset on it is what it'll do. So yeah, just look it up. But really cool. It worked. Surprisingly, 50-50. 50-50 chance usually. That's my those are my odds on these. And then we have a journal. I sell journals all the time. And journals sell really well. Some sell better than others. This is one that sold better than others. Oberon, I believe I'm pronouncing that right. Really, really cool. Has the Celtic knots on there. Made in the USA. Leather. It sold for $35. $35. $6.59 what they paid in shipping. Padded poly bag is what this went into. So really cool item. It did actually already have writing in it. So I did disclose that and took pictures of it. Although it was only like 4 or 5 pages. So it wasn't very much at all. And still sold for $35. Probably would have sold more if it didn't have any writing in it as well too. I saw some sell for up to $50. Definitely keep your eye out for these. They do really, really well. Journals in general. I've even sold just generic Target journals that I found for around $10. Brand new, that is. Brand new, not used. So keep your eye out. Journals, they still sell. This was the item that I ended the other video with. Who I'm saying by, oh yeah, I'll talk about that in the next video. This is a razor blade. Vintage razor blade, Gillette Sensor XL. $38.54 is what it sold for. $6.02 is what they paid in shipping. Padded poly bag is what it went into. Found this is the wall at Savers. We did pay up for it. It was $9.99 for the baggie, but we got 20% off that because we had a coupon, so a little bit better, but we still made some good profit on this item. And it was, easy to picture, easy to list, easy to store, sold within about 24 hours. But you have to make sure they're brand new. You can't sell razors used. You have to make sure they're brand new, just like toothbrushes and stuff like that. So just be aware of that. If you do find it and it has been used, you can't sell it. So you'll need to leave it behind. But if it's brand new, pick it up, and it should sell for around $40, maybe a little bit more. This package was pretty damaged. If it was maybe more pristine, and then the back of the package was even more ratty. So that's why I think it went for less than what I think I probably could have got it for, which is more closer to $50. But nonetheless, I'm still happy with that sale. Now this was pretty cool, and I did post a short on this, and just retro TV hardware that we used to use back in the day. What did it sell for? I mean, these things still sell. It's crazy, right? $17.10. Not crazy. We're not getting rich, but we did pick it up in the bins. Doesn't weigh that much. Padded poly bags is what it went into. $5.83 is what they paid in shipping. But just a really cool item. I remember these. I remember using these way back in the day, and they're still in use. I mean, people still game on old TV monitors and all that. There's still valuable old school TVs that are necessary. I know the old Duck Hunt game. You can't play that on modern TVs. You would need one of the older TVs to be able to play that. So there are still needs for these types of items. They still sell. Vintage tech. Keep your eye out for this stuff. It still sells. This was really cool. Again, a vintage piece here. And I thought it would go for more. I was hoping to get at least $30 for it. It's between $30 to $40 was what I was kind of hoping to get for it. But someone shot me an offer at $20, and I took it. It's, it's something that had no sell-through. There's no data on it at all. There's no information to tell me it's going to sell, it's not going to sell, what it should sell for. So I think I aimed kind of high for it. I thought it was cool. I thought it was worth it. But someone shot me an offer at $20, and I was like, sure, take it. Padded poly bags, what this went into. $8.71 what they paid in shipping. But as you can see, it's a vintage desk caddy. So obviously, if you're going out on the road, you're a business man or woman, you put all your, put your pen in there, you get your documents going and all that. You get to your hotel, you would set this up on the desk, you have your pen, your pad of paper, whatever, and you get to work. Even has like a faux wood grain on there. But really, really cool. Just a cool vintage thing. Found it at the bin, so we didn't pay too much for it. Just cool stuff. This is the stuff I like. This is the stuff I look out for. I don't look out for this exactly, but I look out for items like this. They're cool, unique, interesting, that I think I can sell. And that's one of the reasons why I present these items to you, why I show you what I pick up at the bins, is because there is a market for these cool items. There is a market for these things that you may think are cool and unique, and you're probably not the only one that thinks that way. There are other people that think, hey man, those are cool items. Those are cool, unique items, and you could sell them. So it just takes a little bit of skill. Like I talked about that sixth sense, and that some of us use to be able to determine what sells and what doesn't sell. And then of course you got to get the wording right. You got to get this all here, like the pictures and the words and everything. That's, think of it like your window dressing, right? You're window dressing this item, and you're trying to make it look appealing, trying to get people to click buy, or at least send an offer. But really, really cool piece, and I liked it, and it sold. It was even personalized too, with Marcy on it, or Marsha. Marcy, no, with Marsha. It was even personalized, so that's why I put personalized in there, and it still sold. Really, really cool piece. I like it. There's another really, really cool piece, and I believe I showed in a video a jade bracelet. The jade comes in all these different colors, and here's one color, lavender and or purple. 14 karat gold was it's not much gold. It's not much gold at all right here. These pieces here, that piece, it is marked. It's not very much gold at all. But it is jade, and it is carved, and it is cool, and it is unique. And it's sold. It's just a little lucky charm. And this we got out of all that jewelry. I saw more. Actually, I sold 2 of these elephants already. I listed them a few days ago, and 2 of them already sold. What do they sell? They're selling for. They should sell for right around $40 each. And this one sold. This one, they sent me an offer. They bought a bunch of stuff from me. But this sold for 30. They bought a bunch of jewelry. Jewelry that actually I just listed. $36 is what this one sold for. $5.41 is what they paid in shipping. Padded poly bag, small padded poly bag, is what this went into. So really, really cool. And 14 karat gold, but it's not much. It's not very much gold at all. So really cool piece though. Very, very cool piece. And I just wanted to show you that jade comes in different colors, not just necessarily green, which is typically known as. And beware, most jade is dyed. Most jade you'll find out there, or jadeite, is dyed to make it look this certain color. So it takes a real trained eye to know the difference, to tell the difference. Sometimes it's very, very obvious. It's just like, wow, that's just way too green. But it takes a trained eye, and jade is hard. It's very, very difficult. But either way, it does come in this purple and or lavender. Really, really cool. Is that it? That's 6 items already? One. Yeah, that was 6 items. Oh, we're done. We're done. We're at the end of the video. All right. I know we went off on a bit of a tangent in this video, but let me know what you think of the video. Let me know what you think of the pickups, of anything I said, or if you agree, disagree, whatever you wish to put in the comments down below. Otherwise, that's it. Nothing else really, really going on. I was trying to find something to talk about reselling wise, but everything's pretty quiet, and probably because of the summer. As well as like economy stuff. I mean, there was some talk about what do you call it? New tariffs again, 100% tariffs again on importing chips, and more tariffs over here. And I think India had they're raising tariffs on India. I'm like, oh, here we go again. But I think the market itself is pretty well. It's pretty used to what is going on in the current climate, and they're not really They're not going to go like, overboard like they did earlier in the year in either direction, either positive and or negative. They will take it with a grain of salt, I believe, is the analogy I'm looking for, or the cliche that I'm looking for here. So there's that going on. Otherwise, not really much. I mean, yeah, I talked in my previous video about the unemployment thing. It didn't look very great. It didn't look very good. But we'll see. We'll see what, the fourth quarter is coming up. And that's typically when companies do a lot of temp hiring. So even though the report looks bad right now, going into the fourth quarter, there's usually a lot of temp hiring going on. Remember, temp hiring to prepare for the buying season. The season when people start buying. Around here, around my area, I'm in South Lake, California. Every store is jam packed every time I walk into anywhere. The mall, jam packed. Actually, I've been waiting and mentioning to my wife. I'm like, man, I can't wait till school starts and all these kids that are out about everywhere start to go back home, start to go back to school, and start to it's way too crowded around here. Try to go to the mall and it's jam packed full of people. I try to watch a movie, I can't get a ticket because everything's sold out. And then I don't want to watch a movie at 10 a.m. or anything like that. I want to watch it in the good times. But every area, even within our own country, every different state's different, city's different. Around here, it's like business as usual. It's like everything is just jam packed, and prices are going up. Yes, they go up all the time. Prices go up all the time, but that doesn't stop people around here. I'll tell you that right now. Either way. That's the end of the video. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video, which will be a thrifting video. Next What's Sold video will be next Tuesday. Thanks for watching, and again, see you in the next one. Hey, you've made it to the end. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed this content, please like the video by hitting the thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel by hitting my little round icon down below. It really does help us out here. Also, you'll find a couple of selections. You'll see a playlist of videos to watch and my most recent video that I did upload.